What's up, YouTube? This is episode 31 of the Daily BE, and today's topic, we are talking about how many buttons should you get on the cuff of your jacket. So whether we're talking about your suit, your sport coat, blazer, whatever, the number of buttons is really up to you when you come to a lot of custom suit makers. Traditionally off the rack, what do you find? Usually it's 4, right? And oftentimes they're kind of in a waterfall configuration, meaning that they're, one button is on top of the other one, kind of nested almost. And none of my coats actually have that. And when you have working buttonholes, aka surgeon cuffs, you usually don't see that configuration. But nevertheless, you can choose between 1 and let's say 5 buttons. Any more than that, and it kind of gets a little crazy, a little distracting almost, These buttons, even though when we have working buttons and we can roll the sleeves back, for instance, it's still relatively a decorative thing. And there's some roots of, in the military actually, of having these buttons as kind of a show of rank. But today, it's really up to you. You'll notice on a lot of my suits, I almost always have 3. And I'll give you a close-up, I think, here in a second. But as a rule of thumb, if you have fewer, let's say 2 or maybe even 1, your jacket or your suit is getting more casual when you do that. And 4 is pretty basic. You're pretty safe there. It's really versatile. You can do anything with 4 buttons. 5 is kind of getting, you'll notice it because that's a lot of buttons on your cuff. And you'll notice, I just do 3 because I kind of think it's a nice middle ground. And it's one of those things that it's very rare to see 3 buttons or 2 buttons. And when you do, you know that the suit's pretty special and it has a story behind it, and it's just not something off the rack. It's a little bit more special. So that's why I kind of go towards 3, but it's really up to you. That takeaway though is that the fewer buttons you do, remember, the more casual you're going to be getting. That's the takeaway. I'm going to show you a close-up, and then that's it. Okay, so here are 3 different suit jackets I have. And the first one here, you probably see me wear this coat quite a bit. The first thing you notice between these two, I guess I should say first, is that obviously there's both 3. And actually, Brett, I'm going to redo this. Just get rid of this section. Alright guys, so I have a couple suits here, and I wanted to, kind of draw your attention to 2 different things. One is that with 3 buttons, you still have a really versatile coat. So what I mean by that is that this is a very dressy suit. You see me wear this quite a bit, I think. A little bit of pick stitching, real elegant fabric, kind of a dark navy, and yet 3 buttons and working buttonholes, of course. And it totally works. It's a very dressed up look, but at the same time, the 3 buttons kind of bring attention that it's not just an ordinary suit, that it is custom, that there is something special to it. And yet, only 3 buttons. So, that's in contrast to this guy. This is a linen coat, a linen wool blend, and very summertime, very casual, unstructured, much different look. A little color with the contrast stitching here. And yet, it's still a real versatile coat, and I have 3 buttons on it. So I just kind of want to draw your attention that even though, I had mentioned that 4 is very versatile, and it really is, 3 can really cover the spectrum pretty well too. So that's all in contrast to 4 buttons. And this jacket actually was my very, very, very first custom coat. It's not even from Bespoke Edge. We didn't make this. This was from a long time ago. But I wanted to kind of draw attention to 2 things on this coat. One, that these aren't working. These are purely decorative. And secondly, that you have 4, right? And so just kind of a comparison here, really clearly you can see that, at least in my perspective, these 2 are kind of interesting, right? Something's going on here. Why are there only 3 buttons? Whereas this just seems very typical, very standard, and a little bit off the rack looking. Nevertheless, 4 buttons is very, very common. The idea here, though, is to kind of get you thinking about how many cuff buttons you want, and again, that as you reduce the buttons, you get a little bit more casual. So for instance, if we had only 2, you're going to see a real casual sport coat. That would be something I would do with probably a 1-button suit, one button on the front, and then maybe drop down to 2 or even 1 buttons on the cuff. That'd be a real cool, casual-looking sport coat or blazer. So, food for thought on the whole sleeve button debate. In the recap, you have really between 2 and probably 5 buttons, with 3 and 4 being your most versatile options. All right, there you go. Subscribe, and don't forget to leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you think. Any questions, let us know. We'll get back to you within probably a couple hours, to be honest. All right, guys, we will see you next time.